Hemoglobin is made up of 4 globin chains and 4 heme molecules. The heme is shown in blue and the globin chains are shown in red. Oxygen binds to the heme portion of the hemoglobin. Since there are 4 hemes, then a single hemoglobin molecule can hold up to 4 oxygen molecules. If all 4 hemes are bound to oxygen, then we say that the hemoglobin is 100% saturated. If 3 out of 4 hemes are occupied with oxygen, then it is 75% saturated. If 2 out of 4 hemes contain oxygen, then the hemoglobin is said to be 50% saturated. If only 1 out of the 4 hemes binds the oxygen, then it is said to be 25% saturated. Now, why is this important? This is important because it gives us an idea of the circumstances in which hemoglobin will release this oxygen to the tissues or cells. This happens during internal respiration, which is the gas exchange between the capillary and the body cells. Hemoglobin will release more oxygen molecules to a cell that is active and release less oxygen molecules to a cell that is not. How does hemoglobin know that? Now, a cell that is active will have more carbon dioxide because it is breaking down glucose to provide energy, and carbon dioxide is the byproduct. We know that when carbon dioxide mixes with water, it becomes an acid and so releases more hydrogen ions. When there are more hydrogen ions, free hydrogen ions, then we know that the tissue is acidic, so the pH goes down. Another thing that happens is that cells that are active tend to be warmer, so the temperature is higher. All of these factors are indicators that the oxygen demand of this tissue or cell is high. This allows the hemoglobin to release more oxygen molecules into the cell. So if the hemoglobin, oxyhemoglobin, started out with 100% saturation of oxygen, it may end up being 50% saturated after it has delivered the oxygen to the tissue with a high oxygen demand. Here is a graphical representation of how hemoglobin unloads its oxygen molecules to the tissues and loads up on oxygen molecules in the lungs. In the tissues, hemoglobin releases its oxygen molecules, and so the percent saturation of hemoglobin is quite low. It's between 0 and 50%. The opposite is true for the lungs. In the lungs, the percent saturation of hemoglobin is 100%. This is because hemoglobin is loading up on oxygen. So in the lungs, we have external respiration where hemoglobin loads up on oxygen, and in the tissues, we have internal respiration when the hemoglobin unloads its oxygen. This graph represents the dissociation of oxygen from hemoglobin in 3 different situations. The pink line represents the normal dissociation of oxygen from hemoglobin. The red line is shifted to the right of the normal, and the blue line is shifted to the left of the normal. These shifts to the right and left are important because they represent the percent saturation of hemoglobin in different situations. In the right shift, the hemoglobin is saturated 50%, which means that it is unloading more oxygen. On the left side, the percent saturation is almost 100%, which means that less oxygen is being unloaded by the hemoglobin. So what does this mean? The curve shifted to the right is delivering oxygen to active tissues. Active tissues have a higher demand for oxygen, active tissues are also warmer, so their temperature is higher. And they also tend to be acidic, so the pH is lower. These indicators, high temperature and low pH, cause the hemoglobin to unload more oxygen and shift the curve to the right. Now for the inactive tissue. Here, the oxygen demand is low, the temperature tends to be low, and the tissue is also not acidic, so the pH is higher. These indicators, low temperature and higher pH, cause the hemoglobin to hold on to the oxygen and not unload it.